Welcome back to Newsmaker Live. Thank you very much for staying tuned to this program. I think it is very appropriate that we pay tribute, and we're paying tribute to Mr. John Odlum, the former representative for Castries South. And we have someone on the line, a very special individual, I would say a very important individual, a good friend of mine, Dr. Robert Lewis, the parliamentary representative, the present parliamentary representative for Castries South. Good evening, Doc.
Good evening, Clinton. Clinton.
Yes, sir.
I just caught your program about maybe 45 minutes ago, and I've been listening.
Okay.
I thought it was very important for me to, even if I do speak with the family, it was important at least on behalf of the people of Castries South and all the people, whether it's in Banan, in Latok, in Fuasho, Cicero, Goodland, Lacqua, Marigo, Bassin, Joseph, all the various communities of Castries South to express their condolences to the family and to say clearly that I know, because having gone through the constituency today, because today was my constituency day, that you could feel the emotion of the people, how they really love John Odlum. And I just wanted to say to the family that even if they don't hear these people, but these people truly did appreciate all what he did for them during his 23 years of service to the people of Castries South and St. Lucia generally. So I just wanted to, at least on local television, to say that I wanted to say collectively on behalf of the people of Castries South, condolences to the family and friends of John Odlum.
And we really appreciate you calling in. And actually, I intended to call you to ask you to call in, or we'd call you and hook you up. But then, you know, taking it on your own to do that, very admirable. But just as I have you here, just a couple of questions. I mean, during the 2006 campaign, which was your first as a politician, you would have had some good interaction with him as the outgoing representative. What was your relationship like? What was the interaction like?
Well, I mean, before that, I mean, quite honestly, why I don't know that we knew each other very, very well before that time. I mean, he knew of my family in Cicero, but I think when John was introduced to me by the St. Lucia Labour Party, that is, I think he was very open, and as everybody said, can tell you, I mean, those who grew up in Castries South, any of the communities would tell you that John, once you approach John, you would have had a discussion with him. So I think he was very, very open, because he had already agreed to bow out of the politics. And as you know, you were one of the first persons who came to me about the politics. As anything else I have said before in which I was never into politics, but when people of Cicero in particular came to me, and I got into politics, and having gone to John to speak with him, I think he was very open, and he was very encouraging to say what he thinks of his people of Castries South, to say, well, if you're going to represent them, you might as well, you want to make sure that you represent them because they love their parliamentary rep. And of course, I mean, I can tell you that everywhere in the constituency, but there are some key places that he would talk about, and he had certain areas that you just could not come to you if I were having a discussion with him during the 2006 election that he wouldn't talk about. That was just in one of these areas in Marigo, because if you look at Castries South is predominantly rural Castries, except for a few communities that have a little affluence. It's really a community that is where people who are represented must really pay attention to, because there are a lot of needs. And John was always very conscious of that sort of issue, that Castries South was a special constituency that had needs, and these needs had to be met in different ways. So I must say, quite honestly, I believe that our interaction between 2006 and up to Monday when I saw him at the hospital, it had always been where it was encouraging. If he met me, he'd say, "Young man, how you doing, and how is my constituency?" And he had never really officially given up the constituency.
Yes.
I think even if I were parliamentary rep, that John would tell you, Robert is the parliamentary rep. He would simply say, "Young man, how is my constituency?"
Yes, yes.
So you had to know how to answer him, because, I mean, he had a bond with the people of Castries South that I don't think anybody can actually claim to know Castries, the people, most of the people. And everybody I heard, listen tonight, And most of the people are spot on, especially those who call from Castle South, that John knew everybody. And I hear people talk about his antics of being on a microphone and the PA system, and he goes from Fuasho right from Arago in Merry Christmas to everybody. That was his style. You could not, I don't think quite honestly anybody can imitate that. That's just classic John. That John would be on the microphone, and they're right. The people who he had the most heated arguments with in terms of opposition politics, he would clearly call them by name to wish them Merry Christmas. And I think that is something that was just the man. You could not take that out of him. And I don't think anybody should try to imitate that. In fact, for one thing, I've already said, John lived in an era of politics where people didn't have television. They probably had a radio. There were no Christmas messages on television where you went as a parliamentary rep and you said what you had to say.
Right.
So John used that medium as one of the best mediums. And I mean, as a young boy growing up in Israel, I heard him from my bed. So I know that, and I will not try to imitate that. So sometimes you hear some of the older people tell me, and they do tell me, and rightly so, they say, when are you going to do a Christmas like John? but of course, they're really passionate about it. So I think your question was, what was our interaction? I think he was very warm. He was very open. I think he explained to me the issues he really felt were very close to his heart. And I really appreciated the time he really spent talking to me, especially in the early parts of 2006 when I came into politics, of what he expected and what he would like to see.
And how spot on was he in his instruction or his assessment of what you should look forward to or what you should expect coming into politics, especially in Castries South?
Yeah, I think one of the things he said, and which is true, the warmth of the people of Castries South, if you endear yourself to them, they will endear themselves to you. I think the people of Castries South, when I grew up in Cicero, people are relatively, they have the heated arguments about politics, but I don't think in Castries South there is any sort of divisive politics where people are actually going after you. Most of the people, I mean everybody, and I'm just saying, you're spot on, because John had a relationship with those who didn't support him, as well as a good relationship with those who supported him. And I can tell you in the last 7 years or so, I have found that John was spot on, and the people of Castries are like that. We would have our own discussions on the ground. They may not support me, and it doesn't really bother me either, because for me, in life, this is people have choices that I would not want to go after somebody who probably didn't support me. That's ridiculous in any case. When you become parliamentary rep, you're not really representing only those who support you.
Right.
From a government decides, you don't only go for those who support you. You go to look after the cause of the people of the country and the people of the constituency. And quite honestly, I think John was spot on in his characterization of Castries South. He knew the place well. And don't forget, he was one of those persons who was very instrumental, especially in bringing sports like volleyball. Cicero was a championship team throughout the 70s and into the 90s, and it was one of the persons behind that was John Odlum as a social worker.
Right.
He came and brought a lot of disco volunteers playing volleyball and all these sort of things into Cicero.
Where are the seagulls?
well, I mean, that's one of the discussion. I mean,
I know. I'm just remembering them as you mentioned that.
You're right. Seagulls would have been really a championship team, but I think there was need for capacity to sustain, because while those who had the forefront of it had gone on and they'd really given Cicero a good representation, I myself came into Cicero Seagulls as a manager, and I must tell you, what Cicero Seagulls just needed was some sort of leadership and those who would push it. But there's a young team right now that has started over Cicero Seagulls, so if you want to ask, yes. But I think it will take a while for it to grow up, because the age we live in now, a lot of people not so keen on other things.
Right.
But all in all, I just want to say that, yeah, if you had any question or something, but I want to say John was the consummate person person. He really dealt with people from a human level, and I must congratulate his family and those around him and the people who supported him all those years, because they knew genuinely what he really meant to them.
All right, Doc, thanks a lot. Dr. Robert Lewis, the parliamentary representative for the constituency of Castries South. He's also our education, human resource development,
Clinton,
and
just
labor
before you,
minister.
Clinton,
Yes, sir. Go
can I
ahead.
just say, well, just for more 30 seconds to wish all St. Lucians a happy 34th independence, anniversary independence.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead. I'll give you that.
I just wanted to say that, and I think the lady just before the very lengthy call you had, which was really good, I thought she really picked up on a number of the issues. For us, independence has to be what we make of it. And me coming out of teaching as a profession, I tell you that most of the things that happen for independence generally circles or centers around the school. If you look at it in this country, our young people do get a sense of what independence is all about because the schools are involved actively in the celebration of independence. What we have to do, those of us outside of the school system, we have to at least show our part also because we seem to always, we see a lot of events. I mean, I go to events almost on a daily basis on Independence Anniversary, whether it's a service, whether it's a school rally. I mean, you can be very tired. And I'm also saying the Governor General is a tired person in the number of events that she goes to, especially around this time, having gone through the Nobel Laureate Week and then this event. But I'm just saying, for us, I think, I don't want to say that St. Lucians, I think St. Lucians really are patriotic with regard to the country. It's just like we have different characters, people who show how patriotic they are by what they say. But St. Lucians are patriotic because I must tell you that when we are out of the country and you studied out, we really feel what St. Lucia means to us when we're out.
Yes.
What I would love to see is probably those in the diaspora. They would tell you, and they call us all the time, and they would tell you how they really feel when they see anything St. Lucian. But I want to wish all St. Lucian a very happy 34th anniversary of independence, and I want to say let's continue to build our country because our country can only be built upon what those who have gone before us left for us and what we do of it. The reputation we make of St. Lucia is going to be where we want our country to go to, and I want to salute the people of St. Lucia this evening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Robert Lewis, parliamentary representative for Castries South, and he's the one who succeeded John Odlum in that constituency for this call. Very interesting call, and given his recollection of providing just an idea of the interaction that he had with John Odlum as he entered politics in 2006. And when I said he, I'm talking about Dr. Lewis. It would be his maiden run for that constituency, which he won in 2006. And of course, as he indicated, the late John Odlum would have provided him with some guidance as to what to expect in the constituency and how he can go about representing the people very effectively. Thank you very much for that call. We're just about out of time, but if we can take, I think, just one or two more calls, if we get some quickly before we end on the program. Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello?
Hello?
Okay, I think this person is just playing around with the lines, and it sounds like a younger individual. So, parent, if you are aware or can identify that voice, we would appreciate it if, you know, the youngster is calling to make a contribution that he does, but if not, allow someone who wants or is serious about making a contribution to do so. Thank you very much. We're just about out of time. We'll take our last break, a quick break, and then we'll come back to wrap up. Stay with us.